Hello and welcome to the Dali Mama channel. I'm Dali and today I'll be telling you all about my birth story with baby number 2. My second pregnancy was a little harder than my first. Not really because of the pregnancy itself, but because of what was happening, what I was living through while I was pregnant. My mom, who has been battling cancer for several years, moved to the palliative care, and she unfortunately has passed away just about 10 days before I gave birth. So that whole time during my pregnancy, it was a very stressful, it was probably the hardest time of my life that I've lived through. And adding everything that comes with pregnancy, all the hormones and emotions that come with it, it was a very difficult time. Other than that, with my second pregnancy, I also had gestational diabetes, which is quite common apparently when you have a baby one after the other, with the second one to have gestational diabetes. So that means that most of the pregnancy, well, the last 2 trimesters of the pregnancy, I was on a diet, so I couldn't eat much sugar, I couldn't eat much carbs, which was fine. I actually felt a lot healthier than I did when I was eating a lot more junk food. But at the same time, I always felt a little hungry. I always felt like I wanted a candy or a chocolate, and I'm not even normally a sweet tooth, so my body was missing some of that sugar. In any case, we'll start with the day I gave birth. My family was still here. It was actually the day they were flying back home. So in the morning when I woke up, I kind of realized something was happening because I felt like, wow, my stomach really dropped, and I was kind of feeling something. I couldn't really point my finger at what exactly it was, but I felt like it's coming. It's almost here. Then that day I went about my business. I kind of put it aside and went about my business as usual. I saw my grandma and my uncle. We had breakfast together. We went to the cemetery one last time, and that was the day they were flying back home. So they went to the airport and they left. Their flight left at around 6 p.m. Now, for me, I went about the rest of my day as per usual. I went to bed at around 9 p.m. and a few minutes later, maybe 10 minutes later, around 9:15, my water broke. Since this was so similar to how my first birth started, I knew what was happening. I knew right away that it was time. So I turned to my husband and I'm like, Paul, okay, we gotta go. You have to call Mark. He is the person who was coming to get my older son, and he was going to stay with them for a few days. I called my brother, who was going to come stay with my son or watch my son while he's sleeping until Mark gets here in case it takes him longer. And lastly, I called an Uber to go to the hospital because this time I was not going to take the metro to the hospital. So I called those 3 people and I jumped into the shower for like 2 minutes. I got cleaned. We grabbed our bags, we went outside, and about 20-30 minutes later, everyone arrived at the same time. So my Uber driver, my brother, and Mark, who was picking up my son, all arrived at the same time. So I grabbed my son with his car seat, put him in Mark's car, and he took him to their house. And me, Paul, and my brother got into the Uber and went to the hospital. So my brother decided to come with us just to give me emotional support for a bit. During this whole time, the 30 minutes that it took from the moment my water broke, my contractions were getting stronger and stronger. I would say by the time the Uber arrived, my contractions, the pain was at like a 5-6, and they were coming about every 3 to 4 minutes apart. I think I terrified the Uber driver. He kept asking what was wrong with me. And I'm like, I'm in labor, I'm about to give birth. And he seemed so panicked. In any case, he brought us to the hospital. Everything was great. We get to the hospital. They check me right away and they're like, okay, you are in active labor. You are 6 centimeters dilated. Let's get you into the birthing room. What is your birth plan? The first thing I told them at this point, I'm like, I want an epidural. With my first, I really wanted to keep it natural as much as possible. With my second, from the get-go, I knew I wanted that epidural. I didn't really want to go through the pain. And at this point, the pain was at like an 8 when we were at the hospital. So they said, okay, we'll call the anesthesiologist right now. And it took him about 20 minutes to get there. I had to sit still through the contraction to get the epidural, which is not fun at all. It's so hard to stay still, especially knowing there's a large needle going into your back. But I did it. I got the epidural, but I don't know if it's just because everything was going so fast or because the epidural wasn't put in exactly the same way as with my first. I could still feel a lot of the pain, like it really dulled everything up, but I could still feel everything. Now I got the epidural and they checked me about 10 minutes later and they're like, oh, you are at a 9, it will be soon. Another 20 minutes or so, they checked me again. They're like, okay, you're at a 10, you're ready to push. So I started pushing. I pushed for about 15 minutes and he was born. He was beautiful, he was perfect. He, I find, actually was the prettiest of all my newborns, including my third. He was a very cute newborn. After I delivered him, I had delivered my placenta and they stitched me up. I had just a few stitches with him, basically in the same place as with my first. So from beginning to end, with my second, my water broke at 9 p.m. and he was actually born at 11:35 p.m. It was a really quick labor and delivery. The funny thing about this is that my family, so my uncle and my grandma, were still on the plane. So they got on the plane, I was still pregnant. When they got off the plane, I already had a baby. That's how quick my delivery was. The only thing that I find was very different from my first, I mean, obviously it was a lot quicker, but the epidural did not feel the same at all. I could feel him coming, I could feel him when I was pushing, I could feel his head coming through, which was quite painful. There was a lot of screaming involved, unlike with my first. But it was still an amazing experience overall, and the epidural did dull some of the pain. All right, so that was it. That was my short birth story for baby number 2. If you liked it, if you like that type of video, please consider subscribing, like the video if you enjoyed it, and of course, if you have any requests for anything you'd like to watch, as always, please leave me a comment below and I'll see if that could be done. Thank you again for watching. Bye.